Hello there, and welcome to today's cooking recipe. Today we're going to embark on a culinary journey to create a beloved comfort food classic, biscuits and gravy. This hearty dish is perfect for breakfast, brunch, or even dinner, and it's sure to warm your soul with its savory flavors and flaky biscuits. Throughout this recipe guide, I'll walk you through each step of the recipe, from preheating the oven to serving up the final delicious dish. Along the way, I'll provide helpful tips and tricks to ensure your biscuits and gravy turn out absolutely perfect. So, grab your apron and let's get started on this delightful culinary cooking. By the end, you'll have a plate full of golden brown biscuits smothered in creamy, flavorful gravy that's bound to become a new favorite in your household. Without further ado, let's dive in and make some biscuits and gravy. All right, let's talk about the ingredients we're using for biscuits and gravy. First up, for the biscuits, we'll need 2 cups of all-purpose flour. This is the base of our biscuits, providing structure and texture. 1 tablespoon of baking powder. It's what's going to make our biscuits rise and get nice and fluffy. 1 teaspoon of salt. This adds flavor to the biscuits, but don't overdo it. 1/4 cup of cold unsalted butter, cubed. Butter adds richness and flavor to the biscuits, and keeping it cold helps create those flaky layers. 3/4 cup of milk. This provides moisture to bring the dough together and create a tender biscuit. Now, onto the gravy ingredients. We'll need 1/2 pound of breakfast sausage, either pork, beef, or turkey. This is going to be the star of our gravy, adding savory flavor and texture. 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. This will thicken our gravy and give it that creamy consistency. 2 cups of whole milk. The milk will help create a creamy base for our gravy and balance out the flavors. And of course, salt and pepper to taste. Seasoning is key to bringing out the flavors in our gravy. All right, we've got all our ingredients lined up and ready to go. Let's get cooking. All right, let's dive into the first steps of making our biscuits and gravy. Step 1. Preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, 220 degrees Celsius. This is important to ensure that your oven is nice and hot when it's time to bake the biscuits. Now, on to making the biscuits. In a large bowl, we'll start by mixing together our dry ingredients. That's 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Give them a good mix to evenly distribute everything. Next, we'll add in our cold, unsalted butter. You can use a pastry cutter or even your fingers to cut the butter into the dry ingredients until the mixture resembles coarse crumbs. This step is crucial for achieving those flaky layers in our biscuits. Now we'll make a well in the center of our mixture and pour in the milk. Stir everything together until just combined. Be careful not to overmix here. We want our biscuits to be tender, not tough. Once our dough is ready, we'll turn it out onto a floured surface and gently pat it down to about 1 inch thick. Time to shape our biscuits. You can use a biscuit cutter or even a drinking glass to cut out our biscuits. Place them on an ungreased baking sheet, making sure they're touching each other slightly. This helps them rise evenly in the oven. Finally, pop them in the preheated oven and bake for 12 to 15 minutes, or until they're golden brown and delicious. Now onto the next step, cooking the sausage. While our biscuits are baking in the oven, we'll grab a skillet and place it over medium heat. Once the skillet is nice and hot, we'll add our breakfast sausage. You can use pork or turkey sausage, whichever you prefer. Using a spoon or spatula, break the sausage apart as it cooks. We want it to cook evenly and develop that delicious brown color. Continue cooking the sausage for about 8 to 10 minutes, or until it's browned and cooked through. Make sure to keep an eye on it and stir occasionally to prevent it from burning. Once the sausage is fully cooked, we're ready to move on to the next step of making our gravy. And that's all there is to it. Cooking sausage is pretty straightforward and adds a ton of flavor to our biscuits and gravy. All right, let's make some delicious gravy to go with our biscuits. First, we'll sprinkle the flour over the cooked sausage in the skillet. This flour is going to act as a thickening agent for our gravy. Stir the flour into the sausage until it's fully absorbed and the sausage is coated. This helps to evenly distribute the flour and ensure a smooth consistency in our gravy. Now it's time to add our milk. Gradually pour in the milk while stirring constantly. This step is crucial for preventing lumps from forming in our gravy. Keep stirring until all the milk is incorporated. We'll continue cooking and stirring the gravy over medium heat until it thickens to our desired consistency. This usually takes about 5 to 7 minutes. If the gravy is too thick, you can add more milk to thin it out. And if it's too thin, you can cook it a bit longer to thicken it up. Once the gravy reaches the perfect thickness, we'll season it with salt and pepper to taste. Be sure to give it a taste test and adjust the seasoning as needed. Finally, we've reached the final step, serving our biscuits and gravy. First, we'll split our warm biscuits in half. You can use a knife to gently slice through the center, creating 2 halves. Place the biscuit halves on plates or a serving platter, ready to be topped with our delicious gravy. Now it's time to ladle that savory sausage gravy over the biscuits. Spoon a generous amount of gravy over each biscuit half, making sure to cover them completely. And that's it. Our biscuits and gravy are ready to be enjoyed. Serve them immediately while they're still warm and comforting. Whether it's for breakfast, brunch, or even dinner, biscuits and gravy are always a crowd pleaser. So grab a fork and dig in. All right, let's wrap up with some handy tips to ensure your biscuits and gravy turn out perfect every time. For flaky biscuits, make sure your butter is very cold. Cold butter helps create those lovely layers in the biscuits. Also, handle the dough as little as possible to prevent toughness. If you don't have a pastry cutter, you can use 2 knives to cut the butter into the flour mixture. It might take a bit longer, but it gets the job done. Don't skip the step of cooking the flour with the sausage. This helps to cook out the raw flour taste and ensures a smooth gravy. Plus, it helps thicken the gravy to the perfect consistency. Adjust the thickness of the gravy by adding more or less milk according to your preference. It's all about finding that perfect balance of creaminess. Feel free to get creative with your gravy. Add additional seasonings like garlic powder, onion powder, or dried herbs to customize the flavor to your liking. And finally, if you have any leftovers, which is rare, you can store the biscuits and gravy separately in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 days. Just reheat them in the microwave or oven before serving for a quick and satisfying meal. With these tips in mind, you'll be a biscuit and gravy master in no time.